Well, grab yourself a spoonful of honey, kids, and gather round. It's story time with Old Bear. Now, today's story took place over 40 years ago when Old Bear was a teenage bear on his way to being a real bear, a man bear. Well, Old Bear went on vacation with his family of bears. Mama Bear, Papa Bear, Johnny Bear. We talked about him before. He didn't bring his bow and arrows this time, though, I can tell you that. We had Judy Bear and Little Bear Randy. He was a cub bear, but he was still a bear. Well, we went down there to Kentucky, to the land between the lakes. Got two lakes down there, Lake Barkley and Kentucky Lake. We were on Kentucky Lake. Stayed at a resort, had a cabin and everything. Lovely place. Well, a couple days after we had been there and done our fishing and stuff, you know who showed up? My cousins. They did. My aunt and uncle, my cousins, they just showed up. And there we were, about 20 of us, fishing and eating and stuff like that. Well, one day, a couple days into this, Old Bear gets together with his cousin Kenny Bear. Now, Kenny Bear and Old Bear got themselves into trouble more than once, and today we continued that tradition. So what we did, after all the other bears were doing bear chores, we snuck out. We grabbed ourselves our little cooking utensils and we went down there to the banks, and we fried ourselves up some sardines that we bought in a can at the general store to go with a couple of the little sunfish that we caught. And we had ourselves a feast right there on that bank. Well, after we had eaten, we said, well, what are we going to do now? We haven't gotten in any trouble yet, so we're pretty good. So we found ourselves some miscellaneous objects laying around, some old trees, stumps, and branches, and some styrofoam things that somebody was probably using for docking at the pier there. Well, we decided to put all this stuff together. We're going to make a raft. Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn, that's who we were. Had no Becky Thatcher. She wasn't around. So there we were. We put this stuff together like two crazy kids, and we set off. We were going into that water. We had our fishing poles and our homemade raft. What else did we need? Nothing. So there we are, I don't know, a couple of 100 yards outside the bank, and just out there having a good old time. Well, on the bank, my mother and her sister Catherine were out for a walk. And my mother looked out there on the water and just stared. She asked her sister Catherine, she goes, do you see those two boys out there? What mother in their right mind would let two boys out there in the middle of that lake in some kind of homemade raft? Must be crazy people. Well, my Aunt Catherine looked at my mother and said, well, that's our sons. That's Davy and Kenny out there in the middle of the lake. Well, there my mother and Aunt are waving to us like two crazy people. We see them, we're waving back. We thought they were just saying hi. They weren't saying hi. They wanted us back on that shore. Well, we finally did get back, didn't catch any fish, but that's really not important. And we were scolded. Kenny and I, we were reprimanded by our parents, by our mothers more. I don't even know if they told our fathers. I don't know what would have happened to us if they did know. So there we were, getting scolded, but we had an adventure. We had sardines and fish. We had built a raft that we then had to take apart and put back where we found it because we were going to get in trouble for that. But I just want to tell you, kids, adventures are good. Rafting is good. Just don't get caught doing it. Be smarter than Old Bear was. That's all I got to say about that. Well, have yourself a nice day. We'll talk to you later.